This week on Wisconsin Foodie.
One of my favorite parts about getting a new knife is just the simple joy and ease of cutting through ingredients with that brand new blade.
My main reason for making knives is so people have an enjoyable cooking experience. They have a knife that works well for them. So Luke, let's make you a knife.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's ready to be picked up.
Go for it.
Yeah,
It's only 1,000 degrees.
It's amazingly intricate, almost unspeakable. Watching you do your work lit a fire for my creativity. We're going to use your knives to prepare this dish. Today we're gonna make some beef bourguignon. Oh. Food, when it's done with like the seasons in mind, you really don't get much better food. And this is so Wisconsin.
Should we just sit here and stare at it for a minute?
We could.
Wisconsin Foodie would like to thank the following underwriters.
My name's Nate Zimmerman. My business is called Zim Knives. I make custom kitchen cutlery for chefs and serious home cooks around Wisconsin, and I also do sharpening of all sorts. We're here in my workshop in the Riverworks district on the east side of Milwaukee. My mom is Italian. She taught me to cook from a very young age, so I've been doing that my whole life. I worked in a bunch of restaurants throughout high school and early college. Using knives every day gave me an appreciation for what a quality knife is. Once I got into college, I got a job as a knife sharpener and then decided to try making a knife one day, and then the rest is history, and here we are. Most of my work is custom ordered from people just finding me and having requests for a specific knife to be made. So that's kind of the vast majority of my work. My main reason for making knives is so people have an enjoyable cooking experience. They have a knife that works well for them, and seeing people realize what a proper knife actually should be like, how a knife should cut, is like one of the most rewarding parts of my career. I tend to like to work within my own style, so my knives tend to be a fusion of Eastern and Western cutlery. They'll typically have blade shapes and edge geometry typical of Japanese cutlery, and my handles tend to be a mix of Western sculpted handles and sometimes the more Southeast Asian style straight or octagonal handles. The act of cooking food and the act of making knives are very, very similar. You have your ingredients, you get together, you cook them. In my case, it's heating and cooling and forging and shaping. And then, with diligence through that whole process, you come out with a product or a food dish that tastes and looks right and functions the way that people want it to. And so chefs really understand that process of putting all these separate steps together to create an end product. And so they tend to be really nice to work with because they know what they want, they know what they're going to use it for. And that's really easy for me because then I'm able to just put my take on what they want and come out with something that they'll love for the rest of their career. In the world of chef knives, there's kind of your two main categories. You have your Western and your Eastern cutlery. That's kind of like, there's a different philosophy between, say, German chef knives and Japanese chef knives. Big difference. I like to blend blade styles from East to West. I like to adopt that very thin edge geometry of Japanese cutlery because it cuts so well. And the blade shape, I kind of tailor to the person. So if you like a more French style, more triangular shape, because you like having a fine tip on your knife, so the belly is the curved area of the knife, a more belly forward area can tend to rock a little bit better if that's your preferred style of cutting. One thing that all of my knives share in common is a good distal taper. And so what that is the knife getting thinner from the top of the handle all the way to the tip. And that is really what informs really good balance in a knife. It's what makes it feel lively in the hand. A lot of people like a heavy knife, and that's because they're used to having a dull knife. And so they need that weight to push through. But when you have a proper edge geometry, a nice thin edge, you don't need any weight at all. The knife's gonna do the cutting, and you're just guiding it to where it goes. So having a nice handy knife, especially if you're gonna be using it for hours in the kitchen, can be really, really nice.
So I'm a big fan of the tip of the blade, and I love that idea of like being able to get into the really intricate spaces.
Yeah, so you're like boning out a chicken or taking apart specific vegetables.
Concassé, a tomato, whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
So I love actually this style of blade. I think this is the one.
Yeah, you prefer that more triangular French shape, like classic Sabatier knives tend to be shaped like that. So Luke, let's make you a knife.
A chef and a petty?
Chef and a petty.
Okay.
Very good. I really find a lot of mental clarity in the act of forging, in just the simple shaping of steel with heat and pressure, and it becomes a very meditative thing. There's a rhythm to it. That's like a place where I find a lot of solace and mental clarity, is when I'm focused and working. You know, drifting thoughts are always a recipe for disaster, and so when I'm dealing with a 2,000-degree piece of steel and swinging a hammer at another piece of steel, it's something I have to be focused on, and so it's a really good way for me to like get my head in line and, you know, get some really cool stuff done.
So to kind of be a part and see this knife take shape from raw steel and watch him work quickly, efficiently, but with the practice of a master, to hear him speak about the process, it kind of gives me goosebumps all over the place.
So if you notice, this machine was manufactured up in Kaukauna, Wisconsin, up by Appleton, up by Neenah, same place all the manhole covers are made, all the old cast iron foundries. So these power hammers are kind of an old Wisconsin product. There's a very ubiquitous brand called Little Giant, and this is all made up in Wisconsin. It's really, really fun.
That's cool. It's like full circle Wisconsin.
Absolutely. So here's where it'll really start to turn into a knife. This is kind of the thing that'll make the blade go from like weird kind of knife-shaped object to like really close to a finished blade shape.
Sure.
That's the forging process. It's very fun. It's my favorite part.
Is it?
Yeah.
I would imagine.
It's the most fun part. It's about 10% of the process.
Sure.
Maybe.
Yeah.
My other favorite part is getting paid for it.
Yeah. There's something unspeakably beautiful about the process of watching the steel take shape. Through manipulation, physical force, heat, cooling, it's amazingly intricate. And it's definitely a process that I've taken for granted until I stand right here and watch these knives come together. There are artisans manipulating these physical forces that allow us to enjoy and appreciate sometimes beautiful food, sometimes beautiful crafts, and sometimes art for art's sake. You took that from like just a piece of steel and worked it into a thing of beauty. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's ready to be picked up and run through a tomato.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah,
It's only 1,000 degrees. We'll get you forging a little bit. You'll have this hammer. I will be holding this tool on the flats of the blade. Hit when I tell you to.
Okay.
Only when I tell you to. I'll say yup.
Yep.
That's like the thing that blacksmiths do. And you get it nice and warm, and we'll do it in like 2 sections.
Cool.
Yep. Yep. Having a large flat surface laid directly on the surface and having it pinched between these 2 large flat surfaces really makes everything flat and true. So how straight does that look? Look down it.
A little deviation to the left, but that's not bad at all.
Yeah. Nice true surfaces. And again, I usually do this, like I'll just tong it and then just wail on it.
Sure.
And it works fine, but having somebody else do it is more efficient because you can hit harder. Well, maybe. Yeah, that's pretty good. So sometimes the blade will end up twisted, and there's no way to fix that with hammering it. We just have to heat it up and grab it with tongs and twist it back the other way. It just, how the steel wants to move, it will not be fixed by hammering. So next steps from here, I will grind the profiles in, clean that all up before quench because we want to make sure we don't have any sharp edges or anything wonky. I'll go through the whole heat treatment process, which is normalization, quenching, and then tempering. After that, we'll grind the bevels, we'll hand finish the blades, we'll fit up our handles, and then we'll finish our handles. And then the very last step, sharpening.
Awesome.
And after that, we'll have a couple of fully functional, high-performance kitchen knives for you to take and use.
That's so cool. It's so cool. So I tell you what, brother, when these are done, how would you feel about jumping in the van and taking a trip to the southwestern part of the state?
Oh, that'd be great, yeah.
I would love to show you kind of the form in which these knives get used.
Absolutely.
I guess maybe let you into my world a little bit the same way that you've let me into yours. So,
yeah, it'd be great to see more of that process.
Oh, I would love that. I would
Awesome.
love that.
I look forward to it. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Yeah, right now I'm traveling out to Viroqua, and I have
the pair of knives that Luke and I forged together with me. He's gonna put those knives through their paces and show me a little bit of what he does with them. So on this nice snowy December day, we're gonna go do some outdoor cooking. It's always very exciting for me to see how my work gets used. I usually just send my knives off into the world and don't see them again until they need sharpening. But I'm gonna get to experience how they're used firsthand today, which is very exciting. Oh, hey.
You found us.
I found you.
Awesome, brother. How are you?
Very good, very good.
Good.
Nice drive on the way in.
Isn't it gorgeous?
Oh, it's gorgeous.
I can't wait to see those knives. Woo! This is so exciting, my man.
Absolutely. I can't wait for you to see them.
Oh man, this is gonna be great. Oh my gosh. Look at those things.
So W2 tool steel for the blade, hand forged, hand polished, nickel silver, we have a stainless pin, and then we have stabilized spalted birch for the handles.
These are gorgeous. Like,
I was pretty happy with how they turned out.
like almost unspeakable. It feels like it has substance, it has balance.
Yeah, right at the pinch grip.
Right?
I like them to balance.
Yep, me too. It's nimble. This is something that I could use all day and not feel like that fatigue kind of coming to my wrists or my arms. That edge is ridiculous. Brother, you are wildly talented, and I feel extremely fortunate to be able to put these in the repertoire, put them to use.
Absolutely.
Today we're gonna make some beef bourguignon.
Oh, one of my favorites.
Is that?
I've never cooked it, but it's one of my all-time favorite dishes.
Oh, I love it. And this time of year, like when it's cold and chilly, this is the kind of food that just sticks to your ribs. And I think it's a really good way to also showcase these knives and all these root vegetables that need to be cut up and processed.
Yeah, totally.
So with beef bourguignon, one of the things that I like to do is basically start with the beef. But before that, we're gonna take and put in our pot a little bit of this andouille. So it's spicy spreadable salami. This is made by Underground Meats. You can find this in most grocery stores all over the state. But what I really want to do with this is I want to start rendering that out because I want that spicy, like delicious meat essence to basically set the base for this dish.
Oh yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And because this is spreadable, this actually comes out just like this. We just simply put that in that Dutch oven. We haven't put any other oil in there.
Sure.
And we're gonna let that rendered fat kind of act as liaison for the next step, which is to cube up this beef that I have. And we're gonna put a little flour on that, little salt and black pepper, and then we're gonna brown it with all that delicious fat and pepper and like all those big flavors that are gonna infuse this bourguignon.
Oh, that's gonna be good.
What I have here is some organic prairie beef. This happens to be the tenderloin. One of the things that's really great about this cut, obviously, is it's really malleable. It doesn't take a tremendous amount of time to cook, so we don't have to really focus on like long-term braising efforts in order to have this be super edible and delicious. What I would like to do is basically cube this up. I want it to all be kind of bite-sized so that it's not like you're really hammering on one bite for too long.
Yeah. I actually don't get to use my own knives to cook very often, so this is quite a treat. There we go.
Yeah. All right. Now, we're gonna take these individual medallions here and give them a cut through just like that. And we're gonna flip them. Cat's paw, 1, 2, 3.
Sure thing.
Just like that, okay?
Simple enough?
Yep. So I'm gonna take these now and I'm gonna put them in this bowl. What we wanna do, specifically with something that we're gonna braise out a little bit, is season in layers.
Sure.
So I'm gonna start with salt and then black pepper and give this a good toss quick. And then we're gonna wanna flour these. The reason that we're gonna flour this at this step is because we wanna be able to create basically a roux.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So
Built into the beef.
Built into the beef. So if we season these and coat them with flour and then give them a good sear, that really helps them brown, but it's also gonna add a thickening liaison to the stew, which allows it to get that ooey gooey, bubbly, beautiful essence that beef bourguignon has.
Yeah, and we're doing 2 steps in one here, not
That's
making
right.
a roux separately and browning the meat separately.
So flour that beef. All right, Nate, it's time for meat in the pot. Oh man. I'm so excited to use these knives. We want to dice these onions first, because onions act as that beautiful base that impart a ton of delicious flavor. So what we're going to do is we're going to place these onions right back in our glass bowl here. Next, I really like, specifically this time of year, parsnips.
Oh,
you like parsnips?
Parsnips are my favorite.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So this is sunchoke. This is actually indigenous food to Wisconsin. How about the celeriac, or celery root? One of my favorite parts about getting a new knife is just the simple joy and ease of cutting through ingredients with that brand new blade that is so delicate and so razor sharp. These root vegetables are very, very delicious, but they're a joy to cut because I'm really looking at the uniformity and trying to keep this knife paced through there so I can better learn it and understand its nuances. So we have turnip, we have rutabaga, we have celeriac, sunchoke, some garlic. So we're almost to the point where we're gonna hit this thing with aromatics. Are you a fan of morels?
I'm a massive fan of morels.
So this is what I want to do. Let's put a good couple handfuls of these gray morels. These have been dried out, and we're gonna put that right in that bourguignon. I'm gonna have you stir those in.
Alrighty.
While Nate works in those morels, I'm gonna take this. This is some local ginger. Now, ginger is one of those ingredients that's kind of new to Wisconsin, but it actually grows fairly well, depending on the zone that you live in. And what you get from it is something that's sweet, it's unique, and it kind of is like one of the pathways to the future of farming in Wisconsin.
Because we're having a nice sharp knife really helps, eh?
Now it's time to make this stew a bourguignon. What I have is some Wild Hills Winery, and this is a local winery just outside of Muscadet, Wisconsin, which is right on the Wisconsin River. A traditional bourguignon is made with that burgundy, and then you get all that beef characteristic that kind of works together, and it mellows. Because we're using tenderloin today, this is gonna be kind of a quick and dirty version of the bourguignon, but we really just need to cook it as long as it takes to get that really alcohol, wine-forward taste out of the pot, which shouldn't actually take that long. All right, last but not least, this is 1 cup of beef broth, and we're gonna add this to the pot. God, that is so good. All right, so we're gonna take this time, and you know what? I don't usually pick this off. I like putting it in the stew just the way it is.
Oh, sure.
It doesn't really need a ton of manipulation, and it's kind of one of those things that when you're serving it up, you can take the care to pull it out then if you're really offended by the stems.
Sure.
But I really like using the entirety of the thyme sprig.
Is this like some other herbs where the stem adds a lot of flavor too?
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. It's got essential oil located right in there.
Yeah, very good.
So what I want to do is I want to layer this ever so gently right on the top. We're gonna cover this up. We're gonna let it cook for like 20, 30 more minutes at tops. But again, we just want to cook the alcohol out of that wine and really let those flavors work together. The bourguignon is done. I can hear it gently bubbling in the back.
I'm so excited.
I know, me too, man. I toasted up some bread from the cafe, and I have one more seasonal ingredient that I want to drop on this thing to kind of tie it all together, and that is the Rush Creek Reserve.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this cheese is made by the Uplands crew in Dodgeville, Wisconsin. It's the last milk of the season, wrapped in spruce bark. One of my favorite things to do with this is to heat it up ever so gently. So I have this cast iron pan here that has been warmed nicely, and I'm just gonna pop this open. So great.
You can smell it from here.
I know. We're gonna give that just a little bit of heat. Now this is the ciabatta loaf that we make at the cafe. Oh. And you can see that I melted a bunch of Organic Valley butter on this. So we've got big old pools and pockets in that sourdough bubbling.
So you guys know how to treat people over here at the Elf Farm.
We try. All right, moment of truth.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Oh, man. Oh. Just involuntary groans.
Yeah, seriously. That smells gorgeous.
Yeah.
The idea that it's so rich and delicious, and the morels and the beef and the root vegetables, I think that sometimes food, when it's done with like the seasons or like the feeling of the day in mind, you really don't get much better food. And it's rustic, it's very provincial, but at the same time, this is so Wisconsin.
It is.
And I love the fact that it was made with a local knife maker. I love the fact that we got to see this all come together in one big conglomeration, and we shared a meal. We cooked one together. Last ingredient.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That beautiful,
Oh, my.
beautiful Rush Creek. Oh man. Well,
Should we just sit here and stare at it for a minute?
we could.
So if I just go in for a whole morel right away?
Ready?
Cheers.
Cheers. It's rich, it's sweet, it pairs so well with this Rush Creek. You get that andouille, like that little spice backdrop that totally carries your palate, and it lingers. It like just holds on there. You get the earthiness of the morel that really complements the rind bloom on that cheese.
And the ginger brightens the whole thing up a little bit.
Man.
Really incredible.
I have to thank you so much for the process of watching you do your work and being able to participate in that, which lit a fire for my creativity. It made me so excited to think that we were going to use your knives to prepare this dish. I couldn't think of a better sous chef to have for the day, man. Thank you so much.
I'll come anytime.
All right, that sounds great.
Yeah, that's crazy good.
That is crazy good. What I do want is an instrument that if I do happen to sever a limb,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a nice clean cut.
Oh, exactly. No, we go between the molecules, actually. That's like the classic knife maker pose is this one. Get your medical facts from Wisconsin Foodie.
That's right.
Ooh,
You all right?
yeah. Did it burn me at all?
Maybe a touch, just a skosh.
That's funny.
That's funny. How do you feel about time?
I mean, it keeps creeping ever onward to the end of all things. But the herb is pretty good.
Wisconsin Foodie would like to thank the following underwriters.
Are you hungry for more? Then go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, and be in the loop every time we release new content, behind the scenes footage, and new episodes that you can preview before anyone else. Check us out.